Heatblur teams up with IndiaFoxt Echo for the F-14. The Kuro 787 and Horizon Simulations team up for their updates. A new helicopter has been released, as well as much more that we have to talk about today, guys, so stick around. If you are interested in acquiring any of my Overkills tutorial guides from Microsoft Flight Simulator, or simply interested in supporting the channel, please consider joining us on Patreon. Patreon subscribers level tier 2 and above have access to all of my guides, as well as any future releases that come down the road. Patreon link can be found in the description below. Okay, so first off, I'm going to talk about what's most exciting to me, you guys. If you are unfamiliar with who Heatblur is, Heatblur are the developers of the F-14 Tomcat for DCS World. An incredibly high fidelity, study level, yes, I'll absolutely say the words, very feature rich and highly accurate version of the F-14 Tomcat, again, that is used for DCS World. So the fact that they're teaming up with IndiaFoxt Echo to develop this aircraft for Microsoft Flight Simulator is huge. It doesn't matter if you are into mil sim or combat sim aircraft. If this is an aircraft that you would love to just tool around and fly in, this is the team to develop this aircraft. It is absolutely spectacular news to me to hear that Heatblur and IndiaFoxt Echo have joined up for this one. This is too cool, you guys. I have a bunch of tutorial videos on my channel. If you guys want to look up, go to my channel, go to videos and look up DCS World F-14. And you guys will see a bunch of tutorial series if you guys just want to get a glimpse of how detailed their aircraft really are. The F-14 Tomcat was an incredibly powerful, incredibly versatile aircraft, but she was also a widowmaker if you allowed her to be. Very unstable, very challenging to fly, and they nailed it in DCS World. Heatblur did an absolutely fantastic job with this aircraft. Air-to-air refueling with the variable wing geometry was an absolute nightmare. A lot of them would quote-unquote cheat by putting the wings into what they call bomb mode, which would sweep them back. I believe it was 50 degrees. It's been a minute, but it would sweep them back and lock them. It might be 30 degrees. 50 degrees might be too much. I can't remember now. This is such cool news, you guys. This is going to be a great rendition of the aircraft for Microsoft Flight Simulator. I cannot wait to see what they do and what it looks like once it finally releases. It's going to shatter any other milsim aircraft I think that we have inside the sim with this particular team teaming up. Stick around for more information on that. As I find out more, so will you. The Nvme SA315 Bravo for Microsoft Flight Simulator has finally been released. This is from Taog's hangar. He was the same one who did the initial UH-1 Huey that was a freeware aircraft for Microsoft Flight Simulator. I am going to be picking this helicopter up. It looks pretty darn freaking cool, you guys. And he did a great job. This was a developer, if I remember correctly, the UH-1 was his first development project that he had ever done for a simulator. I know it was for Microsoft Flight Simulator, but I don't know if he did anything prior to that. I don't think he did. I think this was a completely new venture for him. But he has, as you guys can see, really taking it up quite a few notches with a bunch of different features that are available with this particular aircraft, some mission performance packs and things that you guys can do to help entertain yourself while flying this aircraft. Now, I did a little bit of reading on it. I still have a lot more to do, and I know this was sort of a tricky aircraft to fly. Could be very unstable at times. So hopefully that challenge is still there. And I think that's also going to be based on experience. I mean, it always comes down to how good were you with the aircraft. But as you guys can see, the interior and exterior details were absolutely phenomenal. We're going to be checking out the sounds and the rest of the immersive environment here on the channel once I purchase the aircraft, which will be later today. And we'll be checking this out because it's been time for a new helicopter. So I'm really excited for this one, plus all the different features that it looks like it has. Everything from search and rescue, it looks like, to some firebombing capabilities. So we're going to see what all that comes in together in a full review of the aircraft. But I want you guys to be aware this is now available, you guys, and make sure that you guys pick up your copy. The aircraft can be picked up on flightsim.to for 25 pounds. Let's just go ahead and round it on up. So make sure, again, that you guys grab your copy because this looks like a phenomenal version of the helicopter. But if you're hesitant, stick around for the channel and we'll be reviewing it as well. Miltech Simulations has given us a update, if you will, on their CH-47D. This is the Delta version of the helicopter. The preview updates that we have so far are more or less just of the interior, but you guys can see that a lot of depth is being put into the work on this aircraft. You can see everything from the wear and tear to the depth perception, or depth focus, I should say, of the aircraft, the shadowing. They've really done a fantastic looking job here. You can also see what looks like the Garmin touchscreen up there at the top of the image here. So they obviously have included some of the Microsoft Flight Simulator basic navigation systems. Now, they are right now doing the Delta version, but will later be bringing up possibly the F or Foxtrot version of the aircraft, but it is unknown at this time when or where that aircraft will come along. So, given that the Delta is coming in, you're going to have cargo loading capabilities, cargo transport missions, a bunch of different liveries that are going to be available for the aircraft as well at time of release. Now, before anyone asks, Xbox users, yes, it will eventually reach the marketplace, but its initial release, you guys know it. I know you know what I'm already going to say. The initial release will be on PC only. However, they have made it clear that, again, marketplace Xbox users will be able to purchase the aircraft at a later time, but its initial release will be PC only. You guys can see, once again, an up-close shot here of the Collective. Looks absolutely fantastic. Even the wear and tear down there at the bottom, where you can see where your sort of the bottom of your palm would be resting, constantly twisting it. So this is pretty slick, you guys. They're really doing a fantastic job. The CH-47, I think, is going to be a really challenging helicopter to model for them. I mean, that's a tough helicopter. So I'm really impressed with the work that says is being done on it. They said that as far as features and modeling goes, basically what they're doing is the systems that are most required are going to be modeled to an extremely high fidelity and high accuracy, if you will, level. Where other systems that are more secondary, not necessarily critical to stages of flight or performance of the aircraft, are going to be more visual only. But the way that I interpret that is that all the buttons and switches and things like that inside the aircraft are going to be functional. They just may, only rotate as or actuate as a visual activity to do in the aircraft, and not necessarily have any impact on what's going on behind the scenes, where things like flight model, engine performance, engine startups, things like that are all going to be one-to-one to the real aircraft. So super excited for this one. We don't have any kind of release date yet, but it looks like it's coming together pretty darn nicely. You can see the corner of a tablet there on the right side of the screen. So obviously they're working on some sort of EFB as well with the aircraft. This is going to be another cool one. I think this will be a fun one. If you guys haven't seen the image, you have to try it. You have to pick this up to lower the rear cargo panel, the loading ramp, and then try to land the helicopter on the edge of a cliff. And when I say land it, I mean hover it with just the loading ramp on the edge of a cliff. You guys will have to check Google for that picture. It's an awesome picture, and it's been done in the real world. So the other thing that I can see myself trying to do is trying to hover it with just the loading ramp in the water, as if you were unloading or loading up a SEAL team, for example. Anyways, so cross your fingers that hopefully this comes out sooner than later. They have stated that the helicopter is in an advanced stage of development and that it will be right around the corner. So cross your fingers that that's sooner than later. All right, if you guys are a big fan of the 787 series, you remember we have the 787-8 from the Kuro, I hope I'm saying that, Kuro team, as well as we have the 787-9, I hope I get this right again, from Horizon Simulations. This makes sense to me. And then the 787-10 is the default version of the 787. So basically a release package to all of these aircraft has been updated, except for the 787-10 that is coming later on. But the Kuro and Horizon Simulations teams have teamed up and made an adjustment to the -8 and -9. We're going to talk through those really quickly. We have the working title 1.18 systems. So basically the AAU2 update and above have now been implemented into the -8 and -9 series of aircraft. An updated flight model to both aircraft, toggleable SATCOM, new camera positions, an EFB door page now. So you can now actuate and control the doors directly from the onboard EFB. Initial loading tips and a fuel scaler, ETA fuel, and tidal, gosh, I can't talk, new wing flex. There's a new PFD, a new CDU, and new MFD colors. You have a fixed OPT being higher than the max. You have new PBR textures for the aircraft, and you have new cockpit lights. They've really done a massive update to this. And again, so this is the Kuro version 3 update for the Boeing 787-8. But I believe the -9 was also impacted by many of these changes as well from Horizon Simulation. So make sure that you guys check that out. The -8 being the primary one from Kuro, and the -9 being the primary one from Horizon Simulations. And I believe both aircraft are still free. So make sure that you guys check those out and pick up your copy, because it definitely changes the performance of the 787. I actually have a guide in the works on the side panel for the 787-8 that we have been working on, sort of updating from the 787-10. The 787-10 guide that I made was obviously for the default version using the heavy divisions mod, which was absolutely fantastic for its time. But the 787-8 with the Kuro mod, or the 9 with the Horizon Simulations, is obviously significantly more advanced and further along. So we're redoing a guide for that in case you guys are interested. Support me on Patreon and keep an eye out for that guide to be coming down the road as well. New developer Venom Zero Productions has released their inaugural aircraft, or their first aircraft to be released from Microsoft Flight Simulator, and that is the F5E. The F5E Tiger was a very common aircraft, very heavily used. You guys see it here. The representation is none other than the famous, fabulous MiG-28. Watch out. Anybody who doesn't know the MiG-28 in Top Gun, it was an F5 or a T-38 Talon. But anyways, so hence the livery that you guys are seeing here. The aircraft can be picked up on the Sim Market page for, I believe, right around $15 US. Now, it boasts a couple of different things here, but it seems like they've been very, very honest on what they're looking for. If you're looking for something that's high fidelity or study level, stick to DCS World. If you're looking for something just to have a little bit of fun in, and this could be very, very complementary with the F-14 Tomcat that's coming from Heatblur. This would be a very nice complement to that, to go up with some buddies and mess around. But you're going to have an outstanding external model with true-to-life liveries highlighting real-world operators. Yes, the aircraft does still exist in real world and is still operated in many countries around the world. 9 liveries that will be included, custom-built cockpit with limited switch interaction. And this is where I give them props for being honest right up front. And that tells you right there that the aircraft is not high fidelity. It's not meant to be study level. It's meant to be fun. Okay, external fuel tanks and weapons, including the AIM-9 Mark 82s, which are bombs, in case you guys are wondering. GBU-12, another bomb, managed through the aircraft payload and fuel. So obviously, as you increase or decrease fuel and payload, it will change the ordnance and loadout on the aircraft. Now, I believe the F5E Tiger II was designed as an interceptor, so keep it with the side AIM-9s. You can do air-to-ground capabilities with it. Obviously, none of that is going to matter in Microsoft Flight Simulator, as there's no such thing as a release of explosive ordnance for this particular aircraft. I think the only one that actually does anything is, for example, the F4U Corsair. You can fire the guns, and then the F4F Wildcat from Got Friends. You can drop bombs, but there is a quote-unquote simulated detonation on impact, but doesn't actually do anything to any of the surrounding area. Anyways, I digressed, but now a little bit of information for you. A Martin Baker ejection seat, basic autopilot. So I would assume that would be things like heading and altitude hold kind of thing. External lighting to match the real aircraft. Interior cockpit backlit gauges. Ability to switch between the gun reticle or the Asobo HUD. Stick with the gun reticle. It's going to be the most accurate. And fully animated exterior control surfaces, animated gauges, throttles, stick, and rudder pedals, simulated radar scans. This is a scan only. It will not actually pick up targets. So very, very cool stuff, you guys. And again, the price is perfect. Like, they hit it right with the price. Let's take a look at some of the other screenshots we have available for it. It looks very, very nice. Oh, that's pretty cool. I'm not quite sure. It looks like maybe, is that smoke? Can't tell if that's smoke or wing vapor. What they're trying to do there. Definitely an old cockpit. You guys can definitely tell it's been aged quite a bit. So it's simple. It's very simple. It's definitely nothing that you're going to be pulling any kind of high fidelity expectations out of. And for $15 US, I think they've priced it perfectly fine. Again, I think the objective here is to sort of get their name out there, put out a fun aircraft. Price point, again, is absolutely right on par with what to expect. So as long as you keep your expectations accordingly, I think you guys have a lot of fun with this aircraft. As always, guys, I hope you've enjoyed this video. That's going to put an end to our news updates for today. Let me know your thoughts on everything. Stay safe and healthy. Happy Thanksgiving. and I'll see you guys in the next one.